I guess just in a second, and I suggest that we begin because we don't want to keep the people who already came on time waiting too long, and yeah, we can't see you yet, but at least we can hear you. Okay, great. And sorry. So welcome to this first Junior Achievement Bulgaria event within our project Green Entrepreneurship for Sustainable Development, which is really an experiment for us and a challenge to be in this virtual room instead of face to face. But I hope it will also work very well. And I would like to present our speaker today. This is Lauren Singer. She's a very inspiring young lady from New York City. And actually, I came across her blog and an article about her in an online media just 2 months ago, or one or 2 months ago, and I immediately shared her inspiring story in our Facebook group where we communicate with students participating in the Green Entrepreneurship Project, and it aroused a lot of interest from the students, both from Bulgaria and Norway. And I decided to get in touch with her and see how come is it that a person can produce only one small jar of trash in 2 years, and really to find out how you can live a sustainable life in the big city nowadays. And she's here today. She has generously agreed to make this presentation for us and to share her thoughts and her story with you. I know that Lauren is also now developing a business idea for a product, a very interesting idea for a detergent, laundry detergent, and I hope that you could also share a few things about that. Now I will give the floor to Lauren, and after she is done with her introductory presentation, you are welcome to ask questions.
So I don't think the video is working. Would you like for me really quickly to just try to make that work?
Yes, of course. No problem. It was working before.
Yes, of course. That's how things happen. Okay, 1 second.
In the meantime, I can say that we are also recording the webinar, and we will make it available online in case you want to view it later. Oh, great.
So now you can hear me and see me?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just have to say that I'm with two of my colleagues here in the room, so you have more listeners than it appears.
Perfect. Okay. I guess I'll start just by saying hi to everyone. I'm Lauren, and I live a zero waste life, which essentially means that I haven't sent any trash to landfill in the past 2 years. And this kind of all started when I was an environmental studies student at NYU, or New York University, in New York, and it was my final environmental studies students looking to change the world and make it a better place, and she's making so much garbage. And it was really frustrating to me. And so one day after class, I went home to make dinner, and I opened my fridge and I saw that everything that I had in there was packaged in plastic, kind of in one way or another. And I felt like a complete hypocrite. I was making fun of this, not making fun, but thinking, oh my god, I can't believe this girl is doing this. And I was just as bad. So I decided in that moment to quit plastic, which doesn't just mean reducing the amount of plastic I had. It also meant doing things like learning how to find alternatives to products that were conventionally or traditionally packaged in plastic. So that means like deodorant and toothpaste. And so I had to learn how to make all of those things. And I was researching recipes for how to do that. And I came across this blog called The Zero Waste Home, started by a woman named Bea Johnson. She is a wife and mother of two kids out in Mill Valley, California. Um, and she lives a totally zero waste life with a family of four. And I figured, if a family of four can live a zero waste life, I certainly can too. And so I went for it. And 2 years later, all of my trash can fit in a mason jar that's about this big. Um, so I wanted to talk about how this transition happened. I stopped purchasing packaged products and I began bringing my own bags and jars to fill with unpackaged products at the supermarket. I also really drastically reduced the amount of items that I owned by selling or donating or giving away things that weren't necessary in my life. So, for example, I had like 10 pairs of jeans and I didn't need those. So I donated or sold them. I also had 20 wine glasses. My apartment only fits like 7 people, so why did I have 20 wine glasses? I don't know. So I gave away and sold those. So now I only shop secondhand, and I do things like repair old clothing instead of buying new. So I have one pair of jeans. It's my favorite pair of jeans in the entire world. Um, and a couple of weeks ago, I had gone to put them on, and the entire side ripped down my leg. And I didn't know what to do. I wanted to cry. I only have one pair of jeans. Um, and so I put on, I have another pair of pants, but they're not jeans for every day. And I went to the store and did what wasn't obvious to me, but seems obvious, was I went and got a patch put in and got them tailored. So instead of buying a whole new pair of jeans, I had the jeans that I love that fit me well, and I just extended the life of them by taking them to be tailored. So I also began making all of my own personal care items. really easy to find. They're all food grade, so totally edible. So, for instance, all the ingredients from my toothpaste can be found at the supermarket. I just use organic coconut oil, baking soda, and peppermint oil. So, depending on where you are, it should be pretty easy to find these ingredients. But if you're not able to find them in stores, they're really easy to order online. And I order them in really big quantities because the ingredients that I use for, say, my toothpaste, I also use in my deodorant, and I also use them in my cleaning products. So it's a really small amount of ingredients that you need to do a really large range of things. So I use coconut oil not just for my toothpaste, but I also use it for my moisturizer and my deodorant, and I use it for cooking. Um, and then for baking soda, I also use it for uh, cooking and cleaning. And yes, they smell very good. Um, and then I don't make my makeup myself. I purchase my makeup and I use a local brand that's organic, cruelty free, and it comes packaged in 100% recyclable packaging. So I'll make things, like my floor cleaner, my counter cleaner, and all different kinds of scrubs. And we can go into that later if you guys want to ask me questions about more things that I use. So besides, the actual lifestyle of living zero waste, there's a lot of perks of living this lifestyle. The first one and the biggest one to me is that I save money. And this is really important to me because I graduated from college 2 years ago. I had a job in sustainability. I was working in government, but I quit that to start my own business. And so money is not exactly flowing in. So by living this lifestyle, I can save a lot of money. So now when I go to the grocery store and I go shopping, I make a shopping list, which is something that I didn't do before. And this allows me to be prepared and not grab expensive items on impulse. Also, I shop in bulk now, which means package free. And that also means I save money because I'm not paying a premium for packaging. Um, so packaging adds an additional cost to products. It can sometimes be significant depending on what you're buying. Um, I also save money when it comes to my wardrobe because, like I mentioned, I shop only secondhand now. And when you buy a pair of jeans secondhand, I don't know how much jeans are for you guys, but for here, I can save a lot of money if I save by buying a secondhand pair of jeans as opposed to a new pair of jeans. The second benefit I think of living this lifestyle is that I eat better. So because I purchase unpackaged foods, I don't really have the option to get a lot of unhealthy things because there's not many unhealthy or junk foods that come package free. So instead of going to the store and buying cookies and cake and soda and things like that with a lot of sugar, um, instead I go to the farmers market every week and I buy lots of organic fruit and vegetables. And then I go to my bulk store in my town and I'll get a lot of bulk grains and legumes, and so I'll eat completely natural foods. And so if I want something that's unhealthy or junk food, instead of buying it in a package, I'll make it myself. No, I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian. um, so the third thing is I'm happier. When I was in college before I started living this lifestyle, I would waste a lot of time. Besides the fact that as a college student, you procrastinate. But I would find myself, after class, scrambling to the supermarket before it closed because I didn't shop properly for the week. So I would have to do things like not eat or eat junk food from the store that was open later than 10 p.m. Um, or I would order in takeout, which is really wasteful. So when I changed this lifestyle and I learned how to shop properly and be prepared and make a shopping list, I would always have food in my fridge. So I wouldn't be always looking for something at the last minute. That also applies to things like beauty products or cleaning products. Sometimes it would be like the last minute, and I would be about to get ready for school and look at my deodorant, about to put it on, and I would be like, oh my god, it's empty, so I'd have to run to the store and get it. Now instead, I could just make it in my kitchen in 2 minutes, so that saves me a lot of time. And so now my week kind of involves one trip to the store to buy all of the ingredients that I need, not just for my food, but for all of my cleaning products and my beauty products. So my fridge isn't empty all the time anymore. It's only empty on the day that I go shopping not only is this easier, it's also stress free and it's a lot healthier. Like I said, I'm eating a lot better than I was before because I'm no longer eating processed foods or junk foods or using cleaning or beauty products with toxic chemicals because a lot of products that you can buy in the store have chemicals that aren't necessarily good for our bodies or our homes or the environment. So that makes me really happy. And then the fourth really good thing that came out of my transition was my ability and my desire to quit my job in government as sustainability manager and start my own business called the Simply Co, which I'll get into a little bit later. But first, if you guys are curious about how to live this kind of a lifestyle, I have some steps for you if you're interested. So the first one that I have is, oh yeah, yes I do. I have the recipes for my products on my blog, and I just started a YouTube channel where I'll be posting more recipes and home videos. So as far as um, the steps to go zero waste or even just live a lower trash lifestyle, the first one I would suggest is looking at your garbage can and seeing what's in there because you can't solve a problem of having trash until you know what that problem is. So when I looked in my garbage can, I realized that a lot of the things that were in it were food packaging and organic food waste. So in order to avoid food packaging, I learned how to shop in bulk, so package free. And then in order to avoid organic food waste, like throwing out, apple cores in the garbage, I learned how to compost. And that, just by doing those two simple things, I avoided almost all of the trash that I had in my life. So step one, look at your garbage, see what it is, and figure out how you can reduce those big items. The second thing that I like to suggest is to focus on the low-hanging fruit. So what are the little things that you can do in your everyday life to reduce your trash impact? So for me, those are things like using a bamboo toothbrush as opposed to a plastic toothbrush. This toothbrush is made from bamboo and it's compostable as opposed to a single-use plastic toothbrush that you just throw in the garbage. And I have a link to this on my blog, Trashes for Tossers, as well. The second one is something like stainless steel straws. Instead of using plastic straws, which go right to landfill, you can use these stainless steel straws. And not only are they amazing and sustainable and reusable, they're also totally recyclable because stainless steel is an incredibly recyclable material. Also, instead of using a plastic water bottle, you can bring your own stainless steel water bottle every day. I bring these everywhere. You can also bring a mason jar. This is my favorite thing in the world, my mason jar. I use it for water, as you can see here. Yep, they're light. Yeah, and I use it for coffee. So instead of bringing or instead of using a disposable coffee cup at the coffee shop when I go there, I'll bring this and have them fill it up. And sometimes they even give me a discount because they don't have to pay for the paper cup. I'll also use this to bring lunches. I have mason jars without the handle, and I'll put my lunch food in there and I'll carry it around. Also, to carry things like lunches and snacks, I'll use these. These are organic cotton drawstring bags, and I have, almonds in them, but I use these when I go grocery shopping. So this is what I'll put things like rice in, and then I'll also use them if I need a snack on the go instead of using like a plastic bag. And then finally, the last two things that I love to use instead of plastic products, I carry this around. This is a fork and a spoon, and it folds up tiny. You could keep it in your pocket if you wanted. And I use this on the go instead of using plastic forks that just go straight to the landfill. And then also, when I was bringing my lunch to work every day, I would use this. This is a stainless steel watertight and airtight container. So you can put any kind of food in here and it won't leak into your bag even if you kind of mess it around. And there's also a link to this in my blog. So that's the second thing. Find little ways to transition things out of your life. It's one change and it makes a really big difference. Think about, how many plastic forks that you can use. If you use a plastic fork every day, that's 365 plastic forks. Or you could use this guy forever. really big impact. And then the third thing that I suggest doing is the DIY or the do it yourself. So learning how to make things that you would buy packaged, learn how to make them yourself. So the first thing that I transitioned out was toothpaste because toothpaste comes in tubes that are difficult or really impossible to recycle. So they just go straight to the landfill. So I learned how to make toothpaste. It is only 3 ingredients. It takes no time at all to put together. And that recipe is on my blog as well. And then, I transitioned every time I would run out of something, I would learn how to make it myself instead of buying new. So that's the third one. It's just learning how to make products yourself instead of buying them new. So now I can talk more about my business, the Simply Co. I started the Simply Co. Because people on my blog were always asking me about the products that I was making, and specifically the cleaning products were a big one. They would say, I would love, okay, they would say, I would love to make products like yours, but I just don't have the time. So what do you suggest I do? Or like, what are my options? So I went to a lot of the stores in my area and did a lot of research online for more natural cleaning products that were available. But I'm a big researcher, and when I researched the ingredients in some of these like less bad or like eco-friendly cleaning products, I noticed that I wasn't happy with what was in them. There were still ingredients that were containing chemicals that weren't safe for your body, your home, or the environment, and I wasn't happy with that. I believe that we, as consumers and as people, have a right to have access to products that are safe for our bodies and safe for our homes and safe for the environment. I don't think it's fair that cleaning product companies will put in toxic chemicals and not tell us about it, or in general, I don't think it's fair that they do it because it's not necessary. So I wanted to provide people with access to those products and the products that I was using every day that I know are safe. So I started my company to give people these products in a way that's convenient for them. So my first product that I'm coming out with is an organic vegan laundry detergent. And I chose that product because I feel like there's a really big need for a natural laundry detergent. Laundry detergent is one of those products that just has so many toxic chemicals and a lot of synthetic fragrances. So when you smell a fragrance on something like a laundry detergent, most likely 99.9% of the time that's a synthetic chemical and not a natural fragrance. With my products, I use organic essential oils. It's very subtle smell. You can hardly smell it at all, but that's because it's natural. And people don't realize that those synthetic fragrances are also really bad for you. They cause cancer. It's just overall not a good thing. So I make sure that my ingredients are the best I can possibly find, which means ensuring that they're cruelty free or not tested on animals, that they're organic, that they're fair trade, so the people that are producing my ingredients are paid a living wage, and that they're sustainable. Like I said before, I'm a big researcher, so I do a lot of research before using or purchasing anything. Um, I'm living a zero waste lifestyle and I'm starting a consumer product that comes in packaging. So you wouldn't think that necessarily aligns, but I figure, this product doesn't exist, and if I'm going to start a business, I'm going to work my butt off to make sure that my product is the absolute best that it can be. So this also includes packaging, which is a really, really tricky thing. So not only am I wanting my company to be plastic free, I'm also working to make sure my packaging is compostable, recyclable, and extremely sustainable. So in order to do that, I've done things like talk to packaging experts and designers, and even gone to our recycling plants in New York City to find out exactly what materials are the most recyclable. So in the future, I hope to have a whole line of cleaning products so people can have a choice to have extremely sustainable products in their homes. And right now, it's just me. I'm the only one producing these products, but I have people advising me all the time. Um, so why am I qualified? What are my skills in business? I don't have any. Um, I don't have a formal business education, and I've never owned a business before. So to me, the reason that this has all been going pretty smoothly is that the best thing that I've done was to talk money for my business, the first thing that I did was actually stay at my old job a lot longer than I was going to, and I was actually taking my paychecks and putting them directly into my business from my old job. So I stayed at my job a long time just to kind of help save money for myself after I quit and to pay for things like my lawyer. But obviously, that only goes so far, so I needed to raise money. And in order to do that, I started a Kickstarter campaign, which is a crowdfunding campaign. And so, in order to do that, you need a video, which my ex boyfriend shot the video. A good friend of mine, she wrote the music. Another friend of mine did all of the graphics for my page. And then all of the film equipment was donated by friends. And so, in total, the entire video costs under $100 for me, just because the people around me really supported me. And the only $100 was for lights. Actually, it's because no one I knew had lights. They're like thousands of dollars. It's really expensive, so I rented them for $100. That's it. So realizing that all these people were willing to give me their time and their skills and their equipment really made me realize that people wanted me to succeed and people believed in my product, and that was so motivating for me, and it's really helped me to dedicate so much energy into this project. So my Kickstarter campaign lasted 30 days, and my original fundraising goal was $10,000. Um, and I was really nervous as to whether or not I would even achieve that, but I did, and I got $10,000 in under 2 days, which was crazy. So by the end of the 30 days, I had raised over $41,000, which is 400% over my original goal. And I never, ever thought that would happen. And never in my wildest dreams did I think that changing my lifestyle habits would lead to a career, would lead to me quitting my job in politics and starting my own company. But really, it's been the best decision that I ever made in my life. So, before I open this up to questions, I kind of want to give you guys some advice. So, the first piece of advice that I can leave you with is to follow your passions. I could have gone to school for anything. I could have gone and done something that made a lot of money, but there was a good chance that doing that wouldn't have made me very happy. So I chose environmental studies because when I would talk about issues in the environment, it was what I was the most passionate about, what I had the most energy for. Um, and I was always excited about talking about things that had to do with the environment. And that's why I chose it. And I think that's why I've always been really successful in it, because it's what energizes me and excites me. So the first one, follow your passions. The second piece, and the one that's most important to me and what really helped me to change my life for the better, is live your values. I never anticipated, again, that this lifestyle would change my life. I thought that living a zero waste lifestyle just meant, not taking out the trash and living a more sustainable life. But I wanted to live a lifestyle that aligned with my love for the environment and my care for sustainability. And at the time, I wasn't. I was using a lot of plastic. I was creating a lot of trash. So I learned how to live this lifestyle in a way to make everything kind of align with each other. Not only did I believe in sustainability, I actually lived sustainably. So what was at first a lifestyle decision became a blog, and then a successful blog, which then became a catalyst for talking to really interesting people that asked amazing questions and making new friends, and then eventually, quitting my job to start the Simply Co. So, second one, live your values. Again, like I said, none of this was ever my intention. And had you told me 2 years ago that I would quit my job in politics to start my own company, I would have said that you're lying, and I wouldn't have believed you. But now, 2 years later, here I am with a blog and a company, and yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I'm sure you guys might have questions, so I'm happy to answer any of them.
Okay, thank you very much. It was really, really interesting and inspiring, actually. Even my colleagues here are saying that. There was a question which I'm not sure you saw in the chat, which was about the mason jars, the glass mason jars. How heavy are they, and is it easy to carry them around?
what is a pound? A pound is like, so for you,
It's like half a kilo.
Yeah, half a kilo.
yeah.
Less than half.
So, yeah, so this is like half a kilo. But that's why I also like to use these because they're so lightweight. They're made of organic cotton, and you can squeeze them up really small and put a bunch of them in a bag and then fill them up, and they weigh basically nothing. So this is a really good alternative. I bring mason jars to shop if I need things like olive oil or honey or any kind of liquids that I can't put in a bag like this.
Yeah. Okay, so if you guys, any of you has any questions, you can either feel free to write them down in the chat, or you can also use your microphone. It's up to you.
I don't have the toothpaste in front of me, but if you go to my blog, trashesfortossers.com, you can see pictures of the toothpaste. It essentially just looks like a white paste.
Okay, I just wrote down the address. I also have a question. What would your advice be if we are faced with people who are totally skeptical about the use of leading such a lifestyle? So have you had any cases?
Yeah. So something that I like to think about is that the only person I can control in my life is me. I can't tell anyone how to live or how to be. It will never work. So I find that by living my lifestyle and by being really consistent, the people around me have been extremely supportive because it's not like I'm doing this to make a statement or to like make anyone feel bad. I'm doing it for me. When you do things for yourself, people believe in you. And so I've seen my friends even do things like my friends use mason jars now, and a bunch of my friends bought these to bring their lunch to work. And a lot of them who are ordering takeout every day at work now bring their lunch every day. So also something that was really interesting is that I went to go visit my dad, and I've never told my dad to change the way he was living or to live more sustainably. He brought me over to the garbage can and he said, look, I only have one bag of garbage, and a couple months ago I had four, and we've reduced it so much, and we're recycling so much more. So I think just by being yourself and consistent, people really support you, and it turns out to, motivate them to change. Okay, how do you buy the products from the supermarket without buying the package? Yeah. So I shop in bulk, again, like I said. So there's two ways that I shop. I go to the farmer's market every weekend, so I'll bring my own bags, so things like these, and I'll fill them with like lettuce or, vegetables, any kind of vegetable. And then I'll get lots of fruit as well at the farmer's market. And then there's another supermarket by me. It's a natural food store that sells products without packaging. They come in big containers, and there's pictures of this on my blog as well. And so I'll take these bags and fill it up, and at the register, they'll put it on the scale and weigh it, and then they'll charge me for it. And that also is on my blog.
Yeah, well, there was just a question that maybe it's not a word or an expression that we know that well in English as foreign speakers, in bulk. So
in bulk. So
it means
in bulk just means without packaging.
Without packaging.
So it's like if you go to, I don't know, what's a good way to think about it? If you think of like a Moroccan spice market, you know how they have just big containers and jars of all different kinds of spices that you can buy. I would bring something like a jar and have them scoop everything in, as opposed to them putting it in a plastic bag.
Okay, and there's enough shops, I guess, around you that offer this kind of.
I didn't think that there were, but I did a lot of research and found that a lot of natural food stores have stuff like that. I'm not sure what you guys have, but there's a really great resource started by the woman Meg Johnson. It's called the Bulk Locator app. It's BULK Locator, and you can type in your zip code, and it'll tell you what, and it's app, APP.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
And it'll tell you what stores are around you that you can buy things package free, and people from all over the world have written in.
Great. So this means that there's a chance there might be such a shop in Sofia, at least in Bulgaria, because currently this trend is just beginning in our country. I could say, and probably some of the consumers really want to shop in this way, but they can't find where.
So my suggestion would be to ask your supermarkets that you shop at, say, hey, I would love to buy um, rice package free. Can you set up some bulk bins? And, obviously shops want to make money. They want to make their customers happy. So if enough people ask for it, they're likely to change.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
So for instance, there was an ice cream shop I knew that I love and I go to all the time, and they have all these really weird flavors that are strange and that you wouldn't, expect an ice cream shop to have, and it's delicious. But they have, or they had, plastic spoons to taste them. Um, and so I would go in and I'd say, hey, I would really love to, buy your ice cream and taste everything, but you have these plastic spoons, and so I can't taste it because I don't use plastic. And, I did this a couple of times, and now they use metal spoons instead of plastic spoons for tasting. So you can really make a difference.
There's a question by Christina about where to find the bulk locator app.
Um,
Is it in Google Store, in Google Play, or?
yeah, you can find it, I think, or like on iTunes or on Bea's blog. It's called.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, maybe it would be easier to find now. Any other questions by the participants?
Even if you have weird questions, it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. I like to answer weird questions.
Well, maybe then it would be interesting to hear from you, an answer to one of those weird questions about toilet paper, let's say, and
Yeah. So I use toilet paper. That's something that people ask me about all the time. I buy 100% recycled toilet paper, and actually most toilet paper comes from recycled paper because that's just the nature of the toilet paper industry. And then once you put it in the toilet and you flush it, it actually doesn't become a waste product. If you know how wastewater treatment works, when you flush the toilet, actually the toilet paper naturally biodegrades, and so it just becomes part of the sludge that is digested in the wastewater treatment process. And I know this because my last job was working on this. How do you deal with girls' problems? Yep, that's a great question. So I use something called a menstrual cup.
I think I don't think we can see it right now.
It's out of Finland.
Okay.
And it's essentially like a little cup that you use, and it's reusable. It's made of silicone, and instead of using tampons or pads that you just throw in the garbage, you use this cup. All you have to do is rinse it out, and it's really hygienic. It's really affordable. I don't know how. Nope, it's not uncomfortable at all. It's actually so much more comfortable than wearing tampons or pads. I forget that I have it because it's so comfortable. So I've definitely forgotten about it before because I just don't even feel it. And you can keep it in all day. You just wash it out at the end of the day. If you really want to clean it well, you can boil it in some water. And it's a one-time purchase. It's about $40. So what is that for you? I don't know. And for me, that would have been paid back in like 2 or 3 months of buying like tampons or pads. So it's a really affordable alternative, and it's totally sustainable. And if you don't like to use something like tampons, the Lunette cup might not be for you. So instead, you can use organic cotton pads that you can buy on something like Etsy.com. And those are reusable pads that, just fit on like normal pads, and then you just wash them in the washing machine as opposed to throw them out.
Great. I think these are great resources that you've provided us with. um, if we go back to the Simplico business, there was a question, a couple of questions on the registration forms about your future plans about the business. Are you going to make your products available in Bulgaria? Are you going to expand the business?
So I would love to expand. Right now, I just want to start focusing on uh, the United States. But that being said, you guys can try making your own products. You can look online and find recipes for laundry detergent. It's actually a super easy thing to make. And what I always suggest, my dream for the world is that everyone would make their own products and I wouldn't even have to have a business. I have this business because not everyone is going to make their own products and because I don't like the products that are available to people right now. But if you have the drive and a little bit of time to do some research, you can make your own laundry detergent and it's really affordable. It's a lot cheaper than buying it and it works extremely well.
Great, thank you very much. It's actually very rare to hear from a business person who is producing a product that they would actually want their potential clients to make the product themselves, but probably that's just a different view and mindset, and it's maybe something that we need to develop more for the future.
I don't have any commercials about my products. No, not yet.
Not yet. Just the one with the Kickstarter.
Yeah, you can watch my Kickstarter video, which is kind of like a commercial. So you just go to kickstarter.com and then you type in Simply Co. And you can find my video there. And then also you can go to this website and you'll be able to find my recipes that I'm posting. So I just started my YouTube channel and my first video that I'm posting is how to make toothpaste. Oh, how did you find me? That's a good question.
Well, I think I mentioned this in the beginning. I saw an article on this website, Mind Body Green, which was about you and about your story, and I got really interested, and then I decided to get in touch with you. It's actually a very, very interesting website as well, with lots of resources. So there's
it's a great website. I love it.
Great. Well, I don't know if there are any final questions. You can go ahead and ask. If not, Lauren, if you have anything else to add or to say, and I guess then.
Again, I'll just put my blog, processfortossers.com. Also, I have my Instagram.
You still continue maintaining the blog and putting articles there?
Yep. So that's my Instagram, and I post a lot of pictures on there that you might not see on my blog. So those are kind of more everyday things.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course I have a Twitter as well, but I don't really use that as much as my Instagram. But
Okay.
yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to write to me. My email is lauren@trashisfortossers.com. And I'm happy to answer any of the questions you maybe didn't want to ask here, or if you think of anything else, I'm always here to answer questions. Do I have any green mottos? I think the only ones that I have are, or just like live your values. I think if you live your values and you live in a way that aligns with how you want to see the world, good things come from it. I want to see a world with less trash, a world with fewer chemicals. So I live in a way where I don't produce trash and I don't use toxic chemicals. And I think that's the best way I know how to live a life that aligns with how I see the world. I studied environmental science, and no, I don't feel like it's impossible at all. Um, and I never feel like I can't make a change again because I feel like the only thing in life that I can change is myself. So if you change yourself, you've made a change. If you do things that are good for you, you've already succeeded. So I always feel like I did something amazing because I'm living a life where I don't produce garbage. So for me, I've achieved my goal in life. I live a sustainable lifestyle. I've done something amazing for the planet. And I think that's the best way. That's why I never feel like it's impossible or sad or daunting.
This is really positive and really inspiring for us to hear. Thanks a lot for that. It's
Yeah, thank you so much.
I also think it's just going to be a wonderful end to our presentation. Just so uplifting in in the end, and hopefully each and every one of us can make just a few small steps in our everyday lives to make things better.
Yeah, it's all about baby steps, little by little, one thing at a time. And never get mad at yourself because you're a human. People make mistakes. And just think that you can do better next time.
Great. That's wonderful. Well, thank you, Lauren, once again very much for spending the time with us and for sharing all those really great stories.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yes, I've heard of TED
You
Talks.
should
They're
you
amazing.
should go on TED.
That would be so scary, but maybe someday.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, so much for taking the time to speak with me. Again, feel free to email me anytime you like.
Thanks a lot and have a great day.
You too. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.